Chapter 21. Freeing the Soul. When we enter this sphere of existence, each one of us is innately blessed with our own power. Some people may think of power in a negative sense, but for our purposes here, power as described in the dictionary in the positive sense of the word is ability to act, capacity, capability, potential capacity, great or telling force or effect. How we choose to use this power, this aptitude for genius and fulfillment we all have been given, determines our capacity to function in life, determines the effects in our lives, determines our sense of well-being, or not so well-being. Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are what influence the application or use of this power. When we utilize our power in observance of universal laws, we preserve our own power. And when we break a universal law where our own power is concerned, or when we allow others to usurp or sap our power from us, we lose that power. This leaves us handicapped, crippled, and impotent. In other words, we become helpless in effectively directing the outcome of our own day-to-day living. Let me give an example to illustrate what I mean. In a seminar setting where deep personal issues were examined very closely, a married couple, desirous of working out some of their issues, were participating. At one point, the husband wanted his wife to participate in a role-playing situation that would help her find what her belief was in one area of her life. She was being very resistant to becoming involved in this little exercise, but could understand that it would undoubtedly be very beneficial to her. He cajoled, persuaded, and insisted that she do this. She was particularly resistant at first, but finally made her decision. And this is what she said, turning to her husband. "I'm going to do this. But I want you to understand it's not because you want me to. It's because I choose to. I can see the benefits I would receive, and so I'm doing what I want to, and for no other reason." She kept her power by making the decision to do it, because she wanted the growth. She wanted to benefit from the experience, even though it was going to be uncomfortable going through it. It was her choice. And because it was her choice, she kept her power. How do we break the laws that cause our loss of power on a day-to-day basis? The laws are broken when we allow another person to interfere, control, or manipulate us, or our life against our will. Likewise, if we try to interfere, control, or manipulate another person's life or circumstances against their will, and they allow it, we rob them of their power, which renders them powerless to be who and what they really are meant to be. As a parent, have you ever imposed your will over your child's will? This is one of the most devastating things we can do to a child, or anyone for that matter. When a child has to give up his or her will to a parent, a part of their soul is violated. It's true that children need to learn to be obedient, but if you're involved in a situation with a child that turns into a power struggle where you feel you've got to have control, be assured that no one will win, even if you break the child's will. This can also happen between husband and wife, teacher and student, employer and employee, etc. If you break a person's will, you rob them of the most valuable gift they possess. When this happens, it's as if their integrity, their soul, has been ripped from them, and it's impossible to measure the devastation it causes or the lifetime scars it creates in an individual. I believe that when a person is raped physically or raped emotionally, this is exactly what happens. Their will is literally ripped from them. And this is one of the reasons most rape victims have such a difficult time healing. How do they get back their will after it has so forcibly been taken from them? Usually this is a difficult process. Then from there are the races, the groups of people who have had this done to them on a larger scale. All we have to do is look at history and recount the millions of people who've been captured, tortured, forced at gunpoint, and made to submit to another's will. To recollect man's inhumanity to man. Could this treatment be part of the cause of so much hatred and so much prejudice? How many people are crying from their graves for justice to be served on their behalf? When can a healing be realized? If you are the descendant of any of these kinds of victims, put yourself in their place to feel what they may have felt. Then go through the script for those feelings. The results may surprise you. In a way, you can effect a healing for them. Once someone's will is gone, they're like a boat without a rudder. Not that they can't function, but they just don't have the direction they had while their will was still intact. For those of you who feel that you have allowed someone to rob you of your will, claim it back. Just go through the script stating at the beginning, "Spirit, please locate the origin of why my will is gone." Continue through the remaining script and replace the negative with the positive. I forgive myself for allowing this to happen, and for it happening. I now claim my will back and am grateful for its return. I allow my will to function once again in my soul. Then complete the script. Have you ever known parents who thought they were supposed to run their child's life, even after the child had left home, and had been on his own for several years? I knew a young man, David, who was a very obedient and dutiful son, always desirous of pleasing his parents. The parents' love and acceptance of David was a conditional love, however, meaning they would love and accept him if he did what they dictated. So naturally his belief was that he must always follow their instructions, so he would be able to maintain their love and acceptance. David was very cooperative in doing exactly what his parents wanted him to do concerning his schooling and preparation for his future career, and every other aspect of his life. He seemed to be anxious and on edge much of the time, but he was still very pleasant to be around. One of David's characteristics that intrigued me was his stuttering. He didn't stutter all the time, only occasionally. The stuttering was especially noticeable when he talked to his parents on the telephone or got excited. I couldn't help but wonder if David's stuttering was triggered by an anxiety to please his parents. I've since learned that one of the emotional causes of stuttering is wanting to protest, but dares not. There finally came a point in David's life where he asserted his independence and took over his own life. He completely defied his parents on an issue. David's parents practically disowned him and rarely communicated with him for about a year. To begin with, he was at a loss, because for the first time in his life, he was making his own decisions without any input from his parents. I was fascinated as I watched David try to find his own identity. With the help of a friend who totally allowed him to be himself and imposed no conditions on their friendship. Extending unconditional acceptance, David began to realize his unique capabilities and strengths. As he gained confidence in his ability to make correct choices, David claimed back his power by not allowing anyone to run his life. He eventually outgrew the stuttering and has continued admirably to direct and manage his own affairs. I might add, David's parents eventually recognized his ability to wisely govern his life, and now allow him his individuality. Another way we break laws and lose our power is by allowing someone or something to make us angry, irritated, bitter, resentful, as well as many of the negative feelings listed in the feelings list in chapter 17. The feelings we hang on to and don't resolve will create to some degree a loss of our power. Some of us give our power away by simply wanting to keep peace at all costs, and this usually costs us our power. We end up swallowing or burying our feelings just to keep the peace. Our goal and challenge is to communicate what we are feeling in a mature, non-threatening, non-accusing manner. The challenge about this is the language of feelings is the most difficult, most misunderstood language there is on the face of the earth. Nevertheless, communicate we must. Many people, when expressing themselves in a confrontive situation, come from feelings of hostility, anger, bitterness, pride, hurt, resentment, or worthlessness. They don't necessarily understand their own motivation for what they say, why they say it, and how they say it. In an attempt to express what they are feeling, they usually say the first thing that pops into their mind. When this happens, the true picture of what's going on inside a person is seldom communicated adequately or correctly. The person who is listening to another's attempt to communicate has their own perception of the situation being discussed. So their attitude may be, someone has to win and someone has to lose in this exchange. The need to be right. And by darn, it's not going to be me who loses, or I'm not giving in. We are so busy trying to put our point of view to the other person in hopes they can understand what we're talking about, so they can feel what we're feeling, that a true awareness, understanding, comprehension, or exchange is rarely accomplished. If we as human beings have a sincere desire to eliminate this kind of impasse, we will always practice coming from a position of no blame and no judgment, extending our unconditional love and understanding at all times toward others. We will listen with interest, in calm and peace, be willing to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, do our best to see through the other person's eyes. Another benefit we will enjoy if we come from the posture of love and understanding, rather than blame and judgment, is that we will be able to keep and maintain our own power, and at the same time allow others to do likewise. When we become involved in an issue, argument, disagreement, emotional tirade, and are putting our entire energy into winning, that issue rules us and takes our power. So while we're participating in that issue, we are in literal bondage. And if we feel a person has gotten the best of us, that we are defeated, and yet we continue to hang on to any negative feelings concerning that issue, our power is still neutralized. If we don't want our power neutralized, we will let go of the entire issue and all the feelings surrounding it. At this point, we would do well to ask ourselves, in the final analysis, what difference does it make anyway? If we feel that we have won the issue, but the other person is upset about the whole exchange, their power has been neutralized. When a negative situation is not resolved by both or all participants involved, when there are still festering feelings, the energy created by the situation is misplaced. Misplaced because it does not belong, and it stops progress. Nevertheless, that energy resides in and is a definite part of the thought field of each person involved, creating a literal barrier between the two or more people, as documented with Kirlian photography in the book The Body Electric by Thelma Moss, Ph.D. The negative energy created by this kind of situation connects and links these people together. It's as if they are having a tug of war with a rope, but neither one of them can let go. This negative energy is continually with them like a thick cord connecting them, with a big barrier in between. This energy literally holds these two or more people back and keeps them from progressing. Misplaced energy is also like a negative vapor that is endlessly present with the people involved, contributing to personal negativity and confusion, which restricts and blocks their good and their moving forward in life. The individual power of the two people in this negative energy exchange is subsequently sapped and drained. If you've had several of these exchanges with other people throughout your life that remain unresolved, your power is incessantly being drained from you. This gives you a clearer understanding of why it is so important to resolve any issues or negative feelings you now have or have had with anyone. We do want to operate with our own full power, don't we? How can a person accomplish this? Process with the script any unresolved issue you have with anyone that stands out in your mind. Feelings of resentment, hostility, animosity, anger, bitterness, or pride are often the culprits that stifle, suffocate, smother, choke, restrain, and limit you. When these feelings have not been resolved, they're deeply buried or seated and entrenched inside of you, having some kind of impact on you, whether you recognize it or not. If they haven't already caused some recognizable problems in your life, eventually they will. Don't stop with just the feelings mentioned: resentment, hostility, animosity, anger, bitterness, or pride. Even though we think we want to operate at our full power and potential, often we allow resentment, bitterness, or our natural prideful nature to interfere with this desire. If we feel we've been unjustly mistreated or maligned, but have felt helpless to do anything about it, have been unable to resolve the situation, do we allow bitterness to creep into our being? The longer the situation goes unresolved, the more the resentment and bitterness festers and grows, thereby becoming a bigger, deeper, and more powerful energy. Eventually, this energy can become all-consuming and even obsessive, motivating our every thought and action. And how sad this is. Rather than going to the person or persons that has supposedly been the cause of creating our resentment or bitterness and resolve it, do we just keep hanging on to it? Some people in this scenario may feel that it would show a sign of weakness if they were the first to approach the party with whom they were in conflict and ask for a resolution of the situation. At this point, pride is added to resentment and bitterness, and pride can be so great in some people that they would rather die than seek forgiveness of or give forgiveness to the offending or offended person. What does this accomplish? Just a lot of negativity that is extremely counterproductive and impedes our growth. Pride in this regard denotes an unwarranted sense of one's own superiority as defined in the dictionary. But pride often creates a wall between parents and children, children and parents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, cousins, friends, employer-employee, co-workers, etc. In other words, walls are created in all human relationships, and yet many people choose to function this way. Sometimes pride keeps loved ones apart for decades and creates animosity for generations. And for what purpose? To be right? To satisfy the ego, thereby edging God out? How unfortunate, because all we're doing is sabotaging ourselves. Think of the wasted years, the joy and happiness that has been missed, the lack of inner peace, the unfulfilled dreams, negative feelings of any description, either felt by you or directed toward you or directed toward anyone else, that are being held on to, knowingly or unknowingly, need to be resolved immediately. Total, unconditional forgiveness and unconditional love are two of the most powerful solvents as positive feelings that you can use to replace the old negative feelings in the script. Heighten your awareness in all aspects of your life. As you become more conscious of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're saying, and what you're doing, you will experience how heightened awareness facilitates results. And as you begin seeing and feeling results, you will have a greater appreciation for how extremely important your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions are to your well-being. Your thoughts and feelings can bring you peace and joy, or misery and unhappiness. And the beautiful part is, the choice is yours. All that is necessary for you to become more consciously aware. There are many references in the Bible that underlie the importance of our being mindful of our thoughts. My favorite is 2 Corinthians 10:5, casting down imaginations, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Avoid the wild imaginings your thoughts can create in you, as illustrated in the story about your boss requesting your presence in his office, and bring each thought you have into alignment with what Christ taught. You will find that as you become more and more aware, observant, and alert to your challenges as they occur, and see them for the opportunities and gifts they are, opportunities for growth, you'll want to give thanks for them. Otherwise, your growth will be empty and void. Give thanks in all things, because joy is preceded by gratitude. And as it says in the Scriptures, man is that he might have joy. Have you experienced a fullness of joy yet? When you allow balance, harmony, and order to enter your life by transforming negative vibrations into positive vibrations, joy will accompany your harmony in unlimited abundance. This joy, harmony, and balance is at your fingertips. Make a commitment to yourself to 1. Become aware, mindful, and conscious of your thoughts, your words, feelings, emotions, and actions. 2. Let go of blame and judgment. 3. Let go of force and control. 4. Sincerely forgive the past, everyone and everything, including yourself, and let go of it. 5. Resolve all resentment, bitterness, and pride. 6. Love without putting conditions on that love. Again, include yourself. 7. Recognize that everyone is perfect, just the way they are. 8. Accept responsibility and accountability for self. 9. Quit resisting. 10. Quit denying. 11. Give thanks in all things. Be grateful for the challenges and the pain. It gets your attention to let you know you're out of balance. 12. Be excited about getting to know the real you. 13. Utilize the script on a consistent daily basis. 14. Pray to God to have Him assist you in your efforts. By taking these steps toward a more fulfilling and satisfying life, you are putting yourself in the position to gain control, where you become the master of your life's circumstances and destiny rather than being a victim continually. After incorporating these principles into your daily life, it will become evident to you that you do have the ability to communicate the language of feelings, to be congruent in what you think, feel, say, and do. You do have the ability to change your vibrations, to uncover the memory of perfection in your DNA, so that you function from the perfect blueprint of your being. You do have the ability to become the master of your soul. You can keep your own power. You can become closer and eventually return to your source. The quantum strides that are possible for you to make in your life will be determined by your diligence in seeking self-awareness. In order to open that quantum door and make the desirable changes you are anticipating, consistency is the key. Don't be timid about using that key and opening that door, thus allowing those strides to be made. If you ever had a desire to contribute to society, to make a difference, this is your opportunity. By becoming acutely aware of your own feelings and changing the undesirable ones to desirable ones, you will be contributing to the establishment of a more humane and a more genuinely caring society. It will please me to learn of your experiences in utilizing the script in your life. Keep in mind that as you use it, you're on a journey. You are in a process, an ongoing process. My hope is that its application in your life will assist you in accomplishing your goals and your desires. May the quality of your life improve beyond your fondest dreams. May your ability to communicate the language of feelings become one of your greatest assets. May your efforts uncover your true and glorious self. May your endeavors be rewarded with peace, love, joy, success, and genuine fulfillment. In conclusion of this book is the prayer by St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying the false self that we are born to eternal life.